Hi, you're watching Reddit Confessions. She said, don't look for me. I just need space. So I didn't. And that was apparently the wrong answer. The apartment still smelled like her vanilla candle the night she left. The same candle I always blew out because it gave me headaches. That night, I let it burn until it drowned itself in its own wax. Kind of poetic, if you think about it. She took the charger from my side of the bed. That's how I knew it was premeditated. Who does that? You don't take someone's charger unless you don't plan on coming back. No shouting match. No storming off. Just a quiet withdrawal like I was being slowly erased. Drawer by drawer. Laugh by laugh. Kiss by kiss. And the stupidest part? I still texted her goodnight. Yeah, like some kind of emotional stray dog begging for scraps. I watched the message sit there, unread for hours. The three dots never came. But I waited. Until 3:47 a.m., when my phone buzzed, not with a reply, but with a charge notification. She plugged in my charger. Somewhere else. 3 days of silence. I didn't reach out again. She didn't either. I figured maybe she'd come home when she ran out of socks, or missed the way I made grilled cheese without burning it. But then I got tagged in a photo by accident. It was blurry, like someone had taken it while pretending to scroll their phone, but clear enough to see her hand on someone else's chest. The guy's face wasn't even in the frame, just part of a smirk and a jawline that probably didn't cry at Pixar movies. Her caption? Clarity found. That's what broke me. Not the guy, not the fact that she lied, but the smugness. The digital announcement that she had upgraded her life while I was still watering her plants. Everyone expected me to chase her. Even her best friend called and said, she's waiting for you to fight for her. But I didn't, because something in me was finally quiet. She wanted space? She got it. She thought I'd come crawling. She was wrong. And the regret? Oh, that came fast. On the 6th night without her, I found her hair tie under the couch. Not dramatic, I know, but it still knocked the wind out of me. It was black, stretched out, with a single golden strand tangled in it. For some reason, I just sat there holding it like it was a clue in a crime scene. Like maybe if I stared long enough, I'd understand how the woman who once cried when I surprised her with a handwritten playlist could so easily vanish and take the air with her. Then her mother called. I almost didn't pick up, but curiosity got the better of me. She asked if Delta was still upset. I had to pretend I knew what she was talking about. I said something vague like, she just needed space, and her mother gave a small sigh and said, she always pushes people when she's scared. You'll fix this. You always do. That sentence echoed in my head for days. You always do. I'd become predictable. The guy who apologizes just to end the argument. The one who says, I'll be better, even when he wasn't the one who broke things. The emotional mop she used to wipe away her guilt and doubts. And I hated how accurate it was. Then came the message. It was a voice note, which she never sends. Delta always hated hearing her own voice, said it made her sound flat and tired. But there it was, 13 seconds long. I replayed it 12 times before I could breathe properly. Not because it was emotional. Quite the opposite. All she said was, I don't know what you're doing with this silence, but it's messing with my head. I didn't expect this from you. No apology. No, I miss you. Just confusion and resentment because I didn't do what she counted on. Beg. Crawl. Grovel. And for the first time, I realized that maybe it was never about love for her. Maybe it was about control. She thought walking out would put her in the driver's seat. But my silence? That was the first time I grabbed the wheel. I didn't respond to the voice note. Not out of spite, but because I didn't know who I'd be responding to anymore. The woman in that recording didn't sound like Delta. Not the version I remembered, anyway. There was something cold, sharp, almost mechanical. Like someone rehearsing lines instead of sharing feelings. I guess that's what happens when someone gets used to control. They forget how to ask for things without demanding them. 3 days later, I came home to find her car parked outside our building. The same car I had detailed just a month before she left. I almost didn't recognize it with the new air freshener and the suitcase still in the back seat, unopened. She wasn't even trying to hide the fact that she wasn't home anymore, just orbiting, like a satellite looking for a signal. She was waiting inside, sitting on the couch like she still belonged to this place. No knock, no warning. She still had a key. The first thing she said, you really weren't going to come find me? No, hi. No, I missed you. Just a challenge, like I'd lost some invisible game by not chasing her. I stood there frozen, a grocery bag still in my hand, watching her act like it was normal to disappear and then reappear like a rerun of a bad episode. She looked different too put together, like she'd planned this exact scene in her head and rehearsed her lines to get the upper hand. When I didn't answer right away, she scoffed. Wow, so this is what I mean to you? That broke something inside me. She meant the world to me, once. But not like this. Not when love had turned into a performance and pain became just another way for her to measure control. I dropped the bag on the counter and said, as calmly as I could, "If you're here to check if I've fallen apart, I haven't." That stunned her. I could see it. She blinked twice like she didn't understand the language I was speaking. The silence she once feared from me now felt like a wall she couldn't climb. She'd expected a fight, tears, a long speech about second chances. Instead, I gave her indifference. And nothing terrifies a manipulator more than realizing their tricks don't work anymore. She didn't leave that night. She stayed, not as a partner, but as a stranger desperately trying to find the man she once controlled, only to realize he was gone. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of bacon. For a moment, my brain forgot everything. Just for a split second, it thought it was last year, on a Saturday, when Delta would hum off-key to that awful morning playlist while burning toast. But when I walked into the kitchen and saw her standing there barefoot in my shirt like nothing happened, my stomach flipped. She smiled like this was a normal day. I thought we could talk, like adults. Her tone was sugary, artificial, like someone handing you a compliment they didn't mean. I just stared at her. She was using familiarity as a weapon now. Bacon and fake peace offerings. A quiet trap disguised as breakfast. I figured we could reset, she continued. Things got intense, and maybe we both needed the time. Both? That word echoed in my skull. She left. She posted poolside thirst traps while I sat alone rewatching the last text she ever sent me. Needed some clarity. I sat down, not because I agreed, but because I wanted to see what version of reality she was about to sell me. She launched into a speech about missing the energy we had, about how her trip made her think about everything we'd built. I listened. I nodded. But I didn't speak. That unnerved her more than yelling would have. Then came the real reason. Did you tell anyone? That was it. That's what she cared about. Not me. Not us. Just the image. Her reputation. The version of our life she could still use as armor in front of friends and coworkers. She wasn't back because she regretted leaving. She was back because I hadn't exploded, hadn't chased, hadn't made a mess. My silence was power, and she was terrified it might become permanent. I looked at her and said, "You're not here because you miss me. You're here because you lost the script." Her smile cracked. She knew I was right. That was the first moment she looked scared, not because I raised my voice, but because I didn't need to. She didn't leave after that. I think part of her still believed she could win. Like she thought I was bluffing, that this new version of me was temporary, that if she just waited long enough, I'd default back to the man who folded during every conflict, apologized even when I didn't know what I was apologizing for. But I didn't. I was calm. Cold, maybe, but honest. I still made coffee in the mornings, but only for 1 cup. I still left the hallway light on out of habit, but I stopped refilling the Brita filter because that used to be for her. It wasn't cruelty. It was detachment. And she noticed. 2 days into her strange, uninvited stay, I came home from work to find the apartment spotless. Her music was playing. She wore my hoodie. Candles lit. Dinner on the table. It was all eerily familiar, like a carefully staged set of a life we used to have. I didn't say a word. I just dropped my bag by the door and stared at the plate. Homemade chicken piccata. Her peace treaty dish. "Do you remember the night we first made this together?" she asked softly. I did. I remembered every detail. The wrong wine. The flour all over the counter. Her laughing as I almost dropped the skillet. It was a perfect night. Back when things were real. But instead of answering, I asked, "Is he still texting you?" Her face lost all color. "I'm not stupid," I continued. "You didn't delete the messages. You just renamed the thread." The silence was brutal. Her jaw clenched. It didn't mean anything. It was just, I was lost. "No," I said. "You were bored." She tried to cry. I saw her force it. She blinked too quickly, like trying to squeeze out emotion. But the tears didn't come. Not real ones. "You thought I'd be waiting. That I'd beg. That I'd chase," I added. "But I didn't. And now you don't know what to do with that." She reached across the table and touched my hand. I'm trying. So try somewhere else, I whispered, pulling away. She finally understood. I wasn't hers anymore. Not even a little. She didn't take it well. The next morning, I found her still in the kitchen, sitting in the same chair, mascara smudged, scrolling through photos on her phone. Old ones. Us smiling at the Grand Canyon, laughing in that grainy selfie from a New Year's party neither of us really wanted to attend. She looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes and asked, "When did I stop being enough for you?" It was a cruel question disguised as vulnerability, and I nearly fell for it. But I just said, "When you decided someone else might be more exciting." That was the moment something inside her cracked. She stormed out that afternoon. I watched her slam the door like a teenager, her face twisted with frustration, because I still hadn't fought for her. I hadn't begged. I hadn't broken down the way she expected. And in her mind, that meant she'd lost. Not me. Not us. Just her control. But she didn't stay gone for long. That Friday, my phone buzzed during a meeting. One of my coworkers, Deacon, leaned over and whispered, "Dude, someone's outside asking for you." Loudly. I stood up, heart sinking, already knowing. I stepped into the hallway and saw her, Delta, arguing with the receptionist. Her voice rose every time someone told her she couldn't just walk in and confront people like it's high school. When she saw me, she shouted across the room, "So this is what you want now? A clean break and no explanation? After everything?" I froze. My boss poked his head out of the conference room. A few interns stopped walking. Phones were out, recording. Of course they were. I walked slowly toward her and said through clenched teeth, "This is not the place." Her eyes were wild. "Then where is Elwood?" "Because you won't answer your phone. You shut me out. You act like I cheated." "You did," I snapped. "You just weren't smart enough to hide it." The whole lobby fell into silence. Her mouth opened, then closed. And for the first time, I saw it. Shame. She turned and left. No dramatic exit. Just the quiet walk of someone who finally realized the damage was permanent, and that the story wasn't hers to tell anymore. After her public meltdown at my office, the texts started flooding in. Not from Delta, she'd gone quiet, but from people I hadn't heard from in months. Friends. Mutuals. Her orbit. People who had unfollowed me when she vanished, suddenly curious now that the narrative was slipping out of her hands. "Hey man, didn't know it got that bad. She told us you needed space, but I guess there's more to it. Can we grab coffee? I feel like I owe you an apology." I didn't respond to most of them. I didn't need apologies. I didn't want sympathy. But what struck me most was how quickly her carefully crafted version of events unraveled the second I stopped protecting her. Delta had spent weeks painting herself as a woman who just needed clarity, a wife who felt unheard, whose husband emotionally checked out. It was a great story. Neat. Convenient. But now, the cracks were visible, and people were starting to ask questions she couldn't answer. Then came the message I wasn't expecting. It was from Emery, one of her closest friends. We'd never been particularly tight, but we always got along. She sent a simple DM. "You didn't deserve what she did to you. I thought you should know something." What followed was a screen recording, a voice note from Delta, sent to their group chat a few weeks before she left me. Her voice was casual, almost amused. She said, "I know Elwood would probably forgive me even if I did cheat. That's the saddest part. He's so used to being second place, he'd probably blame himself." My stomach turned. I'd spent months wondering where I went wrong, questioning every word, every silence, every moment I didn't say the perfect thing. And all that time, she'd already decided I was the fallback plan, the backup, the safe bet. That was the first time I felt something other than grief. I felt done. Not tired. Not sad. Done. There's a difference. The day I deleted her contact was uneventful. No dramatic music, no storm outside, no trembling hand hovering over the delete button. Just a quiet morning, sunlight coming through the blinds, coffee brewing. I scrolled to her name, hit delete, and suddenly, it was over. The weight didn't vanish all at once, but something unhooked itself from my ribs that day. It had been almost a month since her office stunt. She tried to reach out once more, an email this time. Apologetic. Long, careful with wording, like someone writing a cover letter to get a job back they knew they already lost. I didn't answer. I archived it. And strangely, I didn't feel bitter anymore. Maybe because I'd finally started liking who I was without her. I joined a hiking group, something I always wanted to do but never did because she hated bugs. I reconnected with an old friend from college who invited me to a small museum opening. Turns out, I like art, and I like quiet Sundays with no expectations. I started sleeping better, eating better. I stopped checking who watched my stories. Then, one morning, while waiting in line at the bakery, a woman behind me said, "I like your shirt. It looks like you read strange books." I laughed. It was the first time I laughed without flinching. We talked for 20 minutes in the parking lot. Her name was Corinne. She didn't remind me of Delta. She didn't make me nervous or self-conscious. She made me feel still. I don't know where it'll go. Maybe nowhere. But I like that I'm no longer desperate to prove I deserve love. I know I do. I just need someone who doesn't treat my loyalty like a safety net. So yeah, she expected me to chase her. I let her go, and she regretted it. But I didn't. Thanks for watching Reddit Confessions. If you've ever had a moment where walking away turned out to be the best thing you did, especially in love, tell us in the comments. Maybe it was a breakup, a betrayal, or just a choice that set you free. Let's hear your story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more confessions, right here on Reddit Confessions.